I wonder who's going to win, according to Kendall Holt, huh? I think it's going to be a lot closer than that. But back to what's next. We're at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, where this vocal crowd is not quieting down for the moment and not settling in their seats. They're standing for this highly anticipated main event. Thomasz Adamek puts his newly won IBF Cruiserweight Championship on the line against undefeated Johnathon Banks of Detroit. Nick Charles, ringside, happy you can join us for this one. I was at the same spot 78 nights ago when Thomasz Adamek wrenched the title away from Steve Cunningham. Crowd deafening noise, non-stop action. Adamek put on a memorable performance.
Cunningham figured to use his boxing skills against the relentless pressure of Adamek, but the challenger kept shrinking the ring, and at the end of the second, a blinding two-punch combination dropped the champion. Cunningham shook it off, though, and in the fourth round, he became the aggressor and drove Adamek back with a series of shots. But Adamek took every flush shot, and before the round was through, he had the champion on his back and turned a losing round into a big lead. Down twice, Cunningham elected not to run, but to punch with the furious challenger. But Adamek's chin was like armor. He had taken the champ's best shots and not blinked. Then in the eighth, Adamek's aggression paid off again. The power arrived once more. Blazing combination put Cunningham on the floor a third time. The champion now needed a knockout. He finished strongly, but Adamek, weary but never beaten, won a draining battle and became the new Cruiserweight champion.
Steve Farha joins me again. We're going to yell over this crowd, Steve. They're really into it this Friday night. You know, Thomasz Adamek can't be in a boring fight, but beyond his aggression, there's a lot to like about him technically.
Nick, one thing I love about the guy, he always punches in combination. This is not a flyweight. This is a 200-pound fighter. Always in combination. The other thing I like very much about him, which could be a key tonight, he punches straight, and if necessary, he loops his shots. The reason that's important, Banks likes to keep his hands way up. When a guy does that, sometimes you punch around the guard. So looping shots could be, especially the right hand, could be key tonight.
Talk about Banks' offense and what you see that he could exploit in Adamek's style.
Well, Nick, I think Banks said it best himself at the start of our show when I interviewed him in the dressing room. He knows that even though Adamek has a great chin, he has to land his right hand. He's not a fancy Dan. He's not going to circle the ring. He's not as fast as Chad Dawson. His chance to beat Adamek is the big right hand. The problem is Adamek has that great chin.
Boy, he's got to get his respect and maybe somehow take this crowd out of it. So, just about set to go as we'll meet both fighters live here at the Prudential Center. It is a wild scene, and it's only going to get louder as Thomasz Adamek defends the IBF Cruiserweight Championship he won in this building 78 nights ago against Johnathon Banks.
As they make their way to the ring for tonight's main event of the evening. First, from Detroit, Michigan, tonight's challenger, Johnathon Banks.
26-year-old American Johnathon Banks turned his back on a WBO title shot and more money for this chance to fight here in hostile territory in the U.S. against the cruiserweight he considers the world's best. He's from Detroit, went to the 2004 Olympic trials, turned pro 4.5 years ago. He trains out of the legendary Kronk Gym. Steve, Banks built his impressive undefeated record against mid to low opposition. Major step up tonight.
For sure. In the fight we all remember, he got dropped twice in the first round, got up and won that fight against Castillo. Very impressive, but No Emmanuel Stewart in his corner, Nick.
His corner, though, is hoping Adamek coming back just 2.5 months after that thrilling but exhausting title win will make the new champ a little bit more vulnerable. Banks, meanwhile, is coming off an unimpressive 12-round majority decision win in Germany in July to make him 20-0 with 14 KOs.
And ladies and gentlemen, now the IBF World Cruiserweight Champion from Gliwice, Poland, Thomasz Adamek.
As we look at 32-year-old Thomasz Adamek, lives 15 minutes from here, and the Polish fans are out in force to watch the 9-year pro from Poland, living in America for 4 years. Fought his first 3 years in Europe, came to America and beat Paul Briggs to win the WBC light heavyweight title in 2005. Man, those Briggs wars put him on a map, Steve.
And remember, that was 25 pounds under what he fights at now.
He lost his title belt when he couldn't catch up to Chad Dawson's speed and was drained making the weight. He moved to cruiser, has won 5 straight, culminating with that 3-knockdown split decision victory over Steve Cunningham to win the IBF title in this building last December. He's tough, he's determined, he's 36-1 with 24 KOs. Thomasz Adamek ready to defend his newly won prize now. Here's ring announcer Joe Antonacci.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, where all of tonight's action is being brought to you by Main Events in association with K2 Promotions and Showtime. This bout is sanctioned by the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board. Aaron Davis is your commissioner. Dennis McDonough, Stephen Katz, board members. Introducing the judges as appointed. Lynn Carter, Benoit Roussel, and Steve Weisfeld. And our referee, Eddie Cotton. Boxing fans, this is the ShowBox main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the IBF Cruiserweight Championship of the World. Al Lewis is our IBF supervisor at ringside. Presenting first, the challenger. Fighting out of the blue corner, he enters the ring wearing gold, red, and blue trunks. He weighed in at 200 pounds. He is undefeated. 20 bouts, 20 wins, no losses, 14 wins coming by way of knockout. Please welcome from Detroit, Michigan, and the legendary Kronk Gym, the #1 IBF Cruiserweight contender and the current IBO World Cruiserweight Champion, Johnathon Banks. And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the colors of his native Poland, red and white. He weighed in at 199 pounds. He enters the ring with a record of 36 wins, just 1 loss, 24 wins coming by way of knockout. Please welcome from Gliwice, Poland, WBC light heavyweight champion and the defending IBF Cruiserweight champion of the world, Thomasz Adamek. Our referee, Eddie Cotton, has our instructions.
All right, boxers, you both received my instructions in the dressing room. Obey my commands. Protect yourself at all times. I expect a good, clean fight. All right, let's touch gloves. Come out of the bell.
If you're looking for the naturally bigger fighter, Adamek walks around about 205 or so. Banks right now probably weighs as much as 215 pounds.
Unified rules apply in this IBF title fight. Adamek has the belt. Banks, of course, wants it. Eddie Cotton, the experienced veteran referee, former fighter. One thing to watch, Steve, you know, Banks is a big man, and as you said, if he lands that right hand, he says, you know, I'm the bigger guy, and he doesn't believe that Adamek has monstrous power. Adamek said he's going to box more. He's very technically sound, but he gets hit a lot.
Doesn't move his head much, Nick. And Banks seems, from what he told us, very determined early in the fight to test that chin of Adamek. You see the amateur experience. Banks, only 60 amateur fights, but he did fight in the 04 Olympic trials. He was a top amateur. And Banks, of course, with far less experience. Look at Adamek, 210 rounds. That's a lot by today's standards.
Banks already left is low, but he has poked Adamek with the jab, but trying to discourage Adamek is another story. Cunningham had his moments in a split decision loss, surrendering the title. Banks is the taller guy, 6'3". But he's very wide, giving up that height, but trying to establish that distance and give that full extension. And there he goes as he zips that jab. Very important. That's going to be the key for him. Off the jab to set up that right hand. There's the right, and Adamek didn't move, but now he gets driven back to the ropes and restarts.
Well, Banks wanted his respect. I think he may have gotten it with that right hand because he pushed him back.
Exactly. You know, box, but don't run.
And Nick, one interesting thing, they're stepping on each other's feet a lot. That's very unusual for two right-handed fighters.
Yeah. What a huge right hand that was from Banks. And it did force Adamek to rethink matters and start over. Adamek trying to time Banks. He could take the lead or counter. Now he'll try to stuff the jab. He's a good counterpuncher, Steve.
Yeah, and one thing we've learned about Adamek from his previous fights, he doesn't waste punches. For a pressure fighter, he doesn't throw that many shots unless, you know, he knows he can land them. And we're seeing that right now. He's been very quiet. I don't think he's thrown 20 punches this round.
Banks, a big man. Adamek trying to walk to Jonathan Banks in yellow, in the Kronk yellow or gold.
Hasn't been a Kronk World Champ crowned in 25 years.
There's the right hand again from Banks. Maybe partially taken, not a completely flush shot.
A very good first round for Banks.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is a huge jump up in class for him, and doing well in this first round has to bolster his confidence big time.
There's the right hand from Adamek as he unleashes before the bell.
Start picking it up with the jab a little more, okay? You start to try to let him get off. You be the leader on the shots, okay? You be the leader on the shots. You got to be first to set the tempo. Spit bucket! You got to be the leader on the shot, all right? Touch, everything you set up first. Work off your rhythm. You sit there and wait on him. He's going to start trying to throw his right hand heavy. Start checking out of there, all right?
Story was right hands, wasn't it, in the first round, Steve?
It really was. Not that much different from our first fight. There's Adamek landing a big right hand. Both of them were waiting for that right hand. And that's the shot that drove Adamek back and gave Banks a lot of confidence. The second right hand was blocked. And that was just before the bell. Adamek brushing Banks. Banks kind of tilted his head just enough to take the force away from that right hand. I gave Banks the first round there.
So did I, and it's crucial. He can't afford to give any away. But he can't afford to get run over, and I thought he did the right thing. You know, Manuel Stewart told me he's not here in the corner, but he told me last week he may get knocked out, but we got to get his respect. We're not going to run, and it's an 18-foot ring, Steve. Oh, he drills that right hand. Banks very quick. They think they're as fast as Adamek. Adamek says they have the faster hands.
Yeah, I don't think of Adamek as a real fast fighter, and yet he thought that his speed would be the difference in this fight. I don't see it that way.
Banks sort of waiting to maybe draw Adamek in. And that right hand is quick and it's accurate. He's gotten Adamek's attention, hasn't he, Steve?
He has, and you know, in the Cunningham fight, Cunningham landed so many flush right hands that drove Adamek's head back, but there was no effect other than that. That doesn't mean that when Banks lands the same shot, nothing will happen.
Perfect point. Cunningham, not the puncher Banks is, perhaps. Most probably not. Oh, low left hand from Banks. I don't like it, Steve. He feels his range, that he's safe.
Kind of the Kronk way, huh? Keeping that left hand low.
Isn't it? Loading up that right.
Stepping on each other's feet again. You could see it there. It's happening again and again. Banks with a very wide stance.
And he stuffs a jab in Adamek's face. Adamek gets on the jab now to the body, to the chest. So they jab, and Banks comes back with something, which is crucial. Banks fighting an intelligent, forceful enough fight.
I think they're stepping on each other's lead feet so often because neither one is really boxing on the balls of its feet. They're stepping forward very slowly and deliberately. There's no bounce to their step.
Hasn't been one clinch in this fight. We always like that. Good action.
This pace is great for Banks.
Really.
He looks pretty relaxed, too.
Yeah, he's not under siege at any time.
Exactly, which you would expect, although that certainly could happen later in the fight.
It could change.
Yeah.
Adamek bending low, and Banks sees the opening, the non-activity from the champion, and he takes the play away.
Too much patience from Adamek there. He had Banks cornered. He just let him walk away to his left.
I think a good round for the challenger so far. Down the stretch, Adamek, as we saw in the fight against Cunningham, was getting waxed in the fourth round, and he knocked down the champion to make it a 10-9 win for him. So he is perpetually dangerous. Johnathon Banks in the Kronk gold. Right hand lands from Adamek with single shots. Boy, what a crowd here. And a very interested spectator is Steve Cunningham, the man who lost his title to Adamek right here, December 11th. He wants another crack.
Yeah, and you know what? He deserves one.
Oh, it'd be a great fight.
You have to counter with the right. You have to move. You have to move all the time. You have to block his right shot and then counter with your left. You have to do it all the time. You have to move more. You're not moving enough. Don't worry about it. He will change. He will change the way he's fighting.
Not sure I understand that advice, Nick, or instruction, because they're saying Adamek has to move more. In what way? Forward, sideways? He's not getting hit that much. I think he needs to pick it up and accelerate his attack a little bit.
I'm probably the only person here, but I've given Banks the first two.
Second round was very close. Yeah. I gave it to Adamek based on that right hand he landed in the last 5 seconds.
Banks whips a hook. We haven't seen a hook in this fight so far.
Banks off the back leg. He's really leaning back, but that's loading him up for the right as well. But he's not jabbing anymore, and Adamek's pressing forward. He's leery of that jab from Banks, but Banks trying to lure him in and then hook. So no jab anymore from Banks. Not a good idea in my opinion. He's got a nice jab, Steve, and just stuffed it there.
Well, Banks is waiting for an attack that really isn't coming. Adamek inching forward, but not throwing.
And he drills the jab again, Banks. Boy, Banks is not running at all. There's not a lot to hide here in an 18-foot ring with these big men, but he's using the ring well, and Adamek is sort of following and not shrinking it.
The better jabs this round, no doubt, Adamek. A couple of clean jabs.
Boy, Steve, against Adamek, the fierce concentration. I mean, any fighter in a title fight, but you can't relax for a split second. And you could see it on Banks' face. Gets hit with a right hand there, nothing serious, but the crowd loves it.
Nice footwork by Banks, though, getting out of there before there was any further damage.
This crowd is waiting to explode for Thomasz Adamek. Adamek showing a little head movement. Banks tried to nail him with a big right hand. Banks is presenting some issues, isn't he, Steve?
He is, but you get the impression a little bit this round. There's a hint that Adamek is going to start turning it up, walk into his man a little faster with more purpose, but he is getting countered, Nick.
Yeah, he's trying to close the gap a lot better now and not follow as much.
Beautiful timing there by Banks.
He's cutting the corners, and now the right hand landed partially. Banks comes back with a strong, partially blocked right. They want Adamek to catch and counter as well. But Banks reluctant to take the lead much in this round. There he sticks a jab. Closing out the third. These are championship rounds. We're going to go perhaps 12 or less. It's a title fight here on ShowBox.
Just go slow. You don't have to speed up. Just be patient. Be patient. Don't exchange punches. Remember to use jab. A lot more jabs. All the time. You have to, after you hit him with the right, you have to use left all the time. But first of all, be patient. Be patient. Jab, black, and then you hit him with the right. You're going to start when you get more tired, and then you can speed up.
Action from round 3. Adamek doesn't like to waste punches, but for the first time in the fight, he got Banks to the ropes, and look how Banks ducked and then slipped away. Totally took away any offensive momentum Adamek had there. Good footwork by Banks.
We head to the fourth of this title fight. Nick Charles, Steve Farhood, ShowBox, the new generation, from a raucous Prudential Center, Newark, New Jersey. Thomasz Adamek in the Polish colors of red and white. His IBF Cruiserweight title on the line against undefeated Johnathon Banks of Detroit. Banks backing up. Adamek, as you said, Steve, looking more aggressive, but they want him to take his time and throw a lot of jabs and really break down Banks, feeling they could fatigue him and force him to fight. And you hit on a thing, pace being key here, Steve. Banks sort of had it his way the first couple of rounds.
Nick, exactly, and that's why I don't understand what they're telling Adamek in the corner. He'll slow up. Well, you have to make him slow up. How many rounds are you going to give away? Not that Banks is necessarily up 3-0. I have him up 2-1. But how many rounds do you want to give away before you accelerate?
You know, Banks told us yesterday, I've never seen a crowd come in the ring. Of course, if Adamek gets beat, they'll be in the ring, I have a feeling.
And we'll be under the ring.
Yes, we will be under the ring. Oh, Banks trying to tee off with the right. A little wild, he was missing, but if he connects with it, now they'll rumble a little bit. Could be the first break of the fight. Eddie Cotton separates them. Banks
He's not in position to land the right. He's got his left low and his right isn't even cocked. Now he's starting to look for it, and Adamek not moving directly towards Banks.
Nick, I said at the top, Adamek does not throw a lot of body shots. I've noticed that about him. When he gets Banks pinned against the ropes or in the corner, that's when he should be going to the body. He's not. By missing upstairs,
Adamek gets hit with a left and rocked back. Beautiful hook. Set up by a jab. Not really a combination, but Adamek walking in square, Steve. He got rocked.
He did, and Adamek's right eye, Nick, looks like it's about to burst. It's marked for sure.
It was prior to that. Now that hook really landed. We haven't seen that from Banks much of this fight, but he made it count with a left hook that landed flush on the champion. Boy, Banks dialing in nicely.
And Nick, you'd say that the worst place for Banks to be is on the ropes, right? Of course, what does he do? Lands his best shot of the punch coming off the ropes.
Adamek very cautious now, you're right. Walking in a little bit of head movement, but not that elusive. He's waiting for Banks to commit, but he can't land a counter. Banks gets off and moves. Banks not the most elusive guy, but he's moving nicely and really controlling where this fight is being fought at. Big round for the challenger.
He got you with the left hook. You should never be catch with this. You don't have to go forward so quick. Really, left jab, just to jab him. He has to remember to block. You have to think more about defensive fighting. You don't have to go too anxious, really. Don't go too anxious.
Action from round 4. There haven't been that many big shots in this fight. And that was a short, sweet left hook with Adamek thinking he had Banks in trouble because Banks was back to the ropes. Let's see it again. Banks is a big guy, 6'3", to be bending, but it worked there. Gave him a tremendous opportunity, and look how Adamek drove all the way back across the ring.
And Steve, I was wrong. Prior to that, there was a jab, and then that right hand could have set up the left. It got Adamek a little squared up.
Yeah, the punch landed, Nick, because it was a real short left hook.
Steve, not a good thing. It's another thing Adamek has to worry about. It's not that they thought he was a one-trick pony, Banks, but they were concerned about his right hand, not his left. And there's the jab from Banks. Now he's backing up again, same spot. Banks in his own corner now, spins off the rope, punches when he's backing up. Adamek sinks a jab to the chest of Banks.
Banks just looked to his corner in the middle of the action. That's not a good idea. Right now, Banks is seeing the right hand coming from Adamek. What Adamek has to do is either set it up with the jab or counter punch. But he can't throw the right as a lead.
Crowd getting into every move from Adamek. He runs into a left, Adamek. Again, that sort of a hook. Adamek swelling around the right eye. You know, it's almost like that little check hook. They're going to use Adamek's aggression against him, Steve.
And the amount of fighting that's going on, Nick, is playing perfectly for Banks.
They're going to let Adamek slip in at times there. I'm going to watch that hook all night.
Come on, pick him up a little bit, pick him up.
Yeah, low blow, and Banks felt it.
There again, Banks stuck in a corner. What happened? He jumped forward and basically by clinching got out of trouble.
Adamek's going to start dialing in the pressure, I think. We thought, oh, nice right hand from Adamek. It was a looping shot, and it got the crowd in an uproar.
I said before, Banks likes to keep his hands up. He's not exactly doing that tonight, is he?
Not at all.
So Adamek would be served better to throw straight punches as opposed to looping shots.
Look how low Adamek's left hand is. He's there for a right hand at times when he's not punching, but now he is, as he sticks a jab in Banks' face. Banks is moving right or left, trying to set up the right hand. And there's the right back from Banks as he buzzes the champion. Yeah, the crowd looking to will the champion into winning. It looks like he's very close round again, Steve. But
close round, but maybe things have turned a little bit only because Banks is spending more and more time either against the ropes or in a corner.
Good point. Here comes Adamek. Adamek with the jab. Boy, they're banking on stamina, durability of the champion as we end the fifth. Well, we got a great fight coming up, Steve, in Montreal. The dangerous punching Fulgencia Zuniga against Lucien Boutet, who looked great for about 11 rounds at Showbox, and then he barely finished on his feet.
Well, that's true, and what a great style matchup, too, because Boutet is a beautiful southpaw boxer. Zuniga, Colombian puncher. And if anything, we saw that Boutet was vulnerable, and a fight goes until the final bell of the 12th round. When Boutet fought Andrade, Zuniga saw that fight. He hopes round 1 of his fight with Boutet will be sort of like round 13 of the Boutet-Andrade fight.
He unmasked Viktor Oganov on Showbox, the unbeaten Russian. There's the Polish crowd. We were talking about willing their guy. He gave the last round to Adamek, I say.
I did.
Yeah, I did too. We have it a little differently. I have Banks ahead, but that second round I'm very shaky on giving it to him, and you gave the champion that.
Exactly. I have Adamek up, down, excuse me, by 1 point.
Oh, you have him down?
Yeah, I have Banks ahead by a point.
You know, Steve, Adamek told us after a month his wife was sick of him hanging around the house, and he mentally and emotionally recovers, he told you, quickly. But what about evidence of coming back so soon? Banks was hoping to exploit that.
Hard to say whether that affected him or not, Nick, or maybe it was that right hand Banks landed early in the fight that told Adamek, hey, this guy maybe can hurt me. And Banks has hurt him with the right hand and the left hook. But there's not enough of a sense of urgency, in my opinion, from Adamek at this point, because he gets Banks, like right now, he gets him to the ropes. Too much posing. He jumps in with a left, right, and backs up.
Yeah, he does. And Banks again with the jab, and he's working left. Moving into the right-handed power. And Adamek, you know, he's got single shot power. He beat Thomas Ulrich that way after he outclassed him early. There's a flurry from him. A combination lands from the champion, but Banks just hanging right in there in the pocket, waiting to time those rushes perhaps. But he's got to get on a jab a little bit more. Tucking that right hand, missing badly, and Adamek didn't make him pay for it.
Well, it's not always pretty, but you notice that Banks is not only spinning out of the corners or ropes, but he's also holding when necessary. Very smart.
Steve, the thing about Banks so far also, he hadn't looked like he's getting drilled here, though, but he hadn't looked like he's fatiguing. Oh, that was an awful low blow. You got up to 5 minutes to recover, or you lose the fight, and the referee's supposed to urge you gently at least, and maybe forcefully to get back in it eventually. He's ready.
Nick, it was a low blow, but you know what? Banks' left arm was wrapped around Adamek's head. So often the case with low blows.
And look at Adamek going to the body as he drills the challenger with the left. And goes again to the chest. Interesting now that he's targeting the body. There's more body work and a big right hand. And Banks says to bring it on, and off the ropes fires a left in return. So Banks not acting like he was fazed by it, but that was scored big for Thomasz Adamek. Nah, it didn't even land really with that right as Banks was turning on the shot.
Nick, you can tell by the way Adamek is moving his hands in a very animated way that he's turning it up now.
Body shots. Body shots, a double hook.
He's adjusting. That's what champions do. He's adjusting on the fly.
He really creased Banks this round with body shots. Big round for the champion.
You hear me? Huh? You know you give it. Stop giving up the round. Stop pressing the man. Just keep it balanced and walk to the man. Jab, pick jab. Start throwing the timing out with the check hook, okay? You got that? That's all we worked on. Backing up from the man too much. You're giving him all this respect. Start taking it to him, bang. Look. Boom, bang, bang, okay? That's what we worked on. It's not hard. Get your breathing.
According to the rules, it's not a low blow if the fighter who gets hit low has his arm wrapped around the other fighter's head and is pulling him down. It's exactly what happened. As Adamek started to throw the left, it was going to land low no matter what because Banks was dragging him down.
Good call.
That is not technically a low blow.
You spotted it, Steve, as we head to the second half of this championship fight. Nick Charles, Steve Farhood, ringside for this title fight. The Cruiserweight title on the line. Thomasz Adamek won it here in the building in December. And he's looking to go home with it again, of course. Johnathon Banks has never lost as a pro. Comes from Detroit. He is wildly unpopular here.
Nick, Adamek isn't all that comfortable fighting on the inside. He likes to strike from a little bit of distance. The adjustment he's making, he made it last round. Let's see if he continues to make it.
Wow.
Is getting close enough to land to the body first, then the head. It worked last round.
It sure did.
Softens Banks up. There it is again to the body.
And I think Banks needs he needs space. So we both have it even, huh? Halfway through?
Yes, 57-57.
So I got it.
But the momentum right now is Adamek.
Oh, yeah. Banks tried a little double jab and tried to zero in with the right hand. Here comes Adamek. Look at his stance. Look at his legs, that back leg. Banks just dipping out of danger. Banks takes a flush shot, follow-up hook. So that finish-up hook from Adamek does damage. Combination, rough stuff. Oh, look how squared up Banks is as he's walking to the champion now.
Well, that's what his corner wanted him to do. He's going to have to land something big to reestablish control. He's not going to do it with any fancy boxing.
I think Banks needs his space. Not to run backwards, but he needs that extension.
I agree, and that's why the body punching by Adamek is so smart and so effective.
Yeah, Adamek outpunched him 4-1 there in that exchange. Adamek in the red on the right, you see. Here he comes. See if he'll try the body again. Banks sort of waiting to counter, taking too many shots, even though he blocked most of those.
And the punch output of Banks, Nick, way down.
Really dropped, hasn't it?
As his hands are dropping as well.
Well, this is the strategy. They said, be patient. You're going to break this guy down. And then you apply more pressure. That's really what the corner said after 2.
And the pressure at this point, Nick, it's as much mental as it is physical. Because Banks knows no matter what he does, Adamek's coming.
Yeah, and Adamek's outpunched him 3-1 in this round.
Partially blocked, I think.
Yep. Close out the 7th. Another one in the bank, it seems, for Adamek.
Just do exactly what you're doing. Don't change anything, please. Don't fight him. You have to remember his left hook. And now what you have to do, I see the chances. You have to do very, very patiently fight. But remember one thing, he can still hit, so please remember the defense.
Action from round 7. Early in this fight, Adamek did not go to the body at all. Look at that, right under the elbow, a beautiful left hook, and Banks subtly shows the effect of that punch. And again, he's finishing up, Adamek is, with body punches. You see Banks straighten up, that left hook to the body definitely hurt him.
And this championship fight is flying by. Now they're mostly worried about Banks' left hook. You know, it was the one best shot of the fight, perhaps, single shot, but at the same time, he's got a big right hand. That's his calling card.
And as this fight gets difficult for Banks, you wonder how much would it help if he were turning to the corner to the familiar face of Emmanuel Stewart, who's not only his lifelong trainer, but maybe the best trainer in boxing.
Yeah. James Basher, very experienced in the corner, though. Oh, an exchange there. There's the right hand. Adamek backs up to the ropes and holds on.
Banks senses an opportunity here, Nick.
Adamek's got stung a little bit. Here comes Banks. He's pressing forward now. He's got to start punching. Adamek almost inviting him in, but Banks clinches like they're both a little tired. I thought the champion got stung in that.
He did, but no follow-up. Banks didn't seem like he had the legs to create the distance.
Here comes second wind. Is Adamek resilient?
Oh.
Right hand and a return. Right counter punch. Oh, Banks looks tired. Sudden explosion. Here comes Adamek. Body shots. Banks in serious shape. Eddie Cotton looking in. Suddenly it's over. Oh, look at poor Banks in the corner. Didn't know what hit him. We didn't take those shots, we could tell you. It was Thomasz Adamek. He softened up Banks with the body shots starting in the 6th round. Took over the fight in the second half. Patience the key. Oh, Banks on his feet. He was just neutral corner in sad, sad shape. But Steve, he went down, like I like to say, in flames. He didn't run all night.
I'm not going to criticize Eddie Cotton for not stopping the fight after the knockdown. But as Banks got up and he waved the fighters together, there was not a doubt in my mind that he was going down again and going down hard.
Absolutely. I agree. Oh, the crowd sure got what they wanted. So did Thomasz Adamek, to prove that 78 days after winning a hard-bitten, grueling, draining title fight could come back and close it out inside the distance here on Showbox, here in virtually his hometown, Newark, New Jersey. Thomasz Adamek. I thought he was stung even earlier in the round, it seemed.
The way he fights, you felt that even though Banks was landing effectively the first 2 or 3 rounds, it didn't bother Adamek at all. He's so confident in his style. I was a little critical that he didn't accelerate a little faster. Turns out he knew exactly what he was doing. He didn't have to. Once he took control of the fight was basically over.
Steve, the granite chin, the fact that he could take shots, that he just never gets out of his game plan that way. He doesn't get completely rattled. And just that mental toughness again, not to lose a round and come back and move on to the next one. That's mental toughness to me. So Adamek wanted to set up that right hand, he said.
But it was Banks, Nick. It was Banks with a big right hand. And Adamek, we talk about his chin. You could see that this gave Banks hope for the first time in about 3 rounds. Look at the right hand flush. I mean, you can't hit a guy harder. And I do think Banks hits harder than Cunningham, who landed so many right hands against Adamek. But in the same round, the right hand, that was it. The fight was over from that one right hand. It's basically a one-punch knockout. Banks gets up, but he's done. Once again, beautiful right. You know what? Our first fight was short. One guy took the right hand. The other guy delivered it back. That was the difference in the fight. You could say the same thing here. When Banks landed his big right hand, Adamek took it flush. Didn't get rattled. But when Adamek landed the big right hand, you could see what happened to Banks. And look at him here. He's lifeless. His hands are low. Now he picks it up. Adamek, veteran move, went first to the body there to finish the fight, and then to the head.
He was defenseless. The right move by Eddie Cotton.
Wow, you want to see a beaten fighter. Watch the way Banks goes down here. His eyes had that far away look. You can even tell from a shot that far away.
I'll tell you, academic, but going into that 8th and fateful round, all 3 judges had Adamek winning, 2 of them by a point, 1 by 3 points. So it is very official here with an exclamation point as Thomasz Adamek makes the first defense of his IBF Cruiserweight title. Oh, explosive. To Joe Antonacci.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 1 minute and 30 seconds of round number 8. Your winner by technical knockout and still the IBF Cruiserweight Champion of the World from Gliwice, Poland, Thomasz Adamek.
First loss for Johnathon Banks, and it was a crushing defeat. Banks gave Adamek a lot to think about. 2 of the judges gave Banks the first 2 rounds, so Adamek stayed patient. He was playing catch-up, whether he knew it or not. And he came back and he swept the last 3 before that 8th round, so he took over the fight on all 3 judges' cards, and certainly on ours, in the 5th round. So Thomasz Adamek breaks down and knocks out Johnathon Banks. The champion is with Steve Farhood now.
Early in the fight, Banks had some success, but Thomas never looked in the least bit concerned. Is that accurate?
Na początku kilka razy cię trafił, ale nie sprawiałeś wrażenia kogoś, kto się przestraszy lub chce zmienić sposób walczenia.
I'm mountain guy, I'm hard. My chin is very hard. I like a hard fight. I'm very happy I could win. Dziękuję, że mogę wygrać, pokazać się w telewizji Showtime. Thank you TV Showtime and thank you people which coming to the big fight, my fight.
Yeah. Anything you want to add there that he said in Polish?
Yeah, he said he was so happy so he could show how good a boxer he is, not only before the Showtime television, which is proud to show whatever he can do in the ring, but also in front of all those people.
Banks landed a big left hook in the 2nd round, I believe it was, and some big right hands. Did he get Thomas's respect? Did Thomas come forward a little more slowly because he was fearful of getting hit with those big shots again, or no?
Dwukrotnie trafił cię w drugiej i w trzeciej rundzie prawą ręką. Czy powód, dla którego atakowałeś go mniej w tym czasie, był taki, że poczułeś respekt do tych ciosów?
Znaczy, ja od początku wiedziałem, że ma prawą rękę, dlatego trener mi powiedział tak, lewy blok, czekasz cierpliwie, bo moja szybkość jest przez 12 rund. I wyczekałem po prostu, tak jak Andrzej powiedział mi w czasie każdej rundy, czekaj cierpliwie, nie napalaj się. Masz go, powiedz, że ja go czułem na widelcu, ale czekałem, byłem cierpliwy, bo nie chciałem zapaść jakiegoś ciosu.
Of course, I got a lot of respect of the right hand of Johnathon Banks. I knew he can hurt me anytime, but from the beginning, my trainer, Andrew Dmitruk, told me, just be patient, be patient. Your time will come. Just don't do anything stupid, don't go forward, too recklessly. Your time will come. You will be able to utilize your speed.
And the body punching seemed to turn the fight around clearly in Thomas's favor.
Kilkakrotnie zacząłeś trafiać go na ciało i wyglądało tak, że to zmęczyło go. Czy uważasz, że to zmieniło sposób walczenia Banksa?
Ja robiłem swoje, gdybym się odchylał, można powiedzieć, że bardzo siadł na tylnej części, wiedział, że obserwowali moje walki, wiedzieli, że mam dobrą lewą rękę, dlatego siadł mi troszeczkę na tą stronę, więc chciałem zmienić tempo, żeby nie przyzwyczaić go do ciosów, że uderzam na górę, więc zmieniłem ciosami na dół.
I realized they were watching my fights before, so they were trying to do everything to prevent those body shots. But then I changed the tactic. I started fighting slightly different, so I was able to connect with more body shots. And this is what changed the fight.
In the past, Thomas was a light heavyweight champion. Now he's clearly number one cruiserweight in the world. Yesterday at our fighter meetings, he told us about his future plans, something we didn't know about. Maybe he could tell us again what he'd like to do in the near future.
Byłeś mistrzem świata do 175 funtów, jesteś absolutnie niekwestionowanym najlepszym bokserem w wadze cruiserweight, ale wczoraj zdradziłeś, że być może masz jeszcze jakieś plany. Czy mógłbyś powiedzieć ich trochę więcej?
Powiedz, że w boksie wszystko jest możliwe. Czyli wszystko może się wydarzyć, wszystko może się wydarzyć, to jest już telewizja, powiedz, że tutaj propozycje są w telewizji i one rządzą.
Chodzi o tą wagę ciężką.
No wszystko jest możliwe.
What I'm saying is everything is possible. I believe in United States of America everything is possible. So I can fight as a heavyweight and maybe win the championship as a heavyweight.
Chcę walczyć tutaj w Stanach Zjednoczonych, tu mieszkam z rodziną i chcę pokazywać polskim i amerykańskim kibicom kawał dobrego boksu przez jeszcze kilka lat.
I live with my family in the United States, so I want to show both American and Polish fans the best of Thomasz Adamek, show them what I can do in the ring, but like I said, for both of them, for Polish people, also for my American fans.
We have great fans. Whatever weight he fights at, we'll be watching Thomasz Adamek. Nick?
Hey, look out, David Hay. He might have company there. Thomasz Adamek breaks down Jonathan Banks and defends his IBF Cruiserweight title. Answers the questions that he fought too soon, perhaps. Didn't have time to recover from a draining title win back on December 11th. Well, he was patient, he was poised, and he was ultimately too powerful for Jonathan Banks. Banks got his licks in. Two of the judges gave him the first 2 rounds, actually. So Banks was ahead, and here's the way it was going into that 8th round. Steve Weisfeld and Lynn Carter had it just the way Steve and I did, for what it's worth. Benoit Roussel had the champion comfortably ahead. So that was the very conclusive story here tonight. You know, you look at this card and you say, man, you know, what a fight. Banks wins the first 2. The champion was actually behind. And halfway through the fight, it was anybody's fight. And suddenly, the beauty of cruiserweights, you know, who could box and who could punch, it was over. And, you know, I love the fact that Adamek got hit. He got wobbled at one time. In that last round, he got stung, and he comes right back and guns his man down.
Nick, 2 things about Adamek. One is, this fight was a little slower paced than some of his other fights, but a sensational ending. He finds a way to be exciting every time. And 2, the crowd. I mean, there aren't that many fighters in the world, in any country, who can draw this kind of attention, this kind of enthusiasm, and it makes for a great atmosphere, and it makes Adamek fight hard.
I would say 3 things. You know, power in both hands, as we said. Granite chin, iron resolve. He is a guy who's fun to watch, a delight to see here on ShowBox. You know, where does he go from here? Politics and boxing aside, best cruiserweight in the world. Start unifying Guillermo Jones, the ShowBox alum. Who knows, right?
Well, the cruiserweight division right now, there's not a doubt that Thomasz Adamek is number 1, a clear number 1. As you look at my top 10, one thing you notice right away, lack of Americans. B.J. Flores, based solely on a win over Dingaling Wilson, is the only other American in the top 10. It's not that strong a division once you look past Adamek and Cunningham. Hey, Steve Cunningham deserves a rematch. Will it happen? I don't know. But he definitely deserves one because he lost a split decision to lose the title to Adamek. And that's really the only other fight at this weight, Nick, that I want to see Adamek in.
Well, the crowd came here to see their man get it done, and he did, concussively, really, taking out Jonathan Banks. So Thomasz Adamek, the first defense of his IBF Cruiserweight title, a successful main event here on ShowBox. Wrapping up the night, 2 fights, 2 knockouts. It began with a 12-round middleweight opener. Giovanni Lorenzo, a perfect right hand, knocks out Dionisio Miranda with a single shot in the 2nd round.
Lorenzo gets a shot, mandatory, at Arthur Abraham. He'll be a big underdog, but with that knockout punch, at least he earned the shot.
And in the main event, it was a vicious 8th round. Thomasz Adamek took to give, and man, did he, knocking out Jonathan Banks.
I don't know what's more impressive about Adamek, his offense or his chin, because he took some big shots from Banks. That was the difference. He took the shots, then delivered his own.
We're back in 2 weeks when Lucien Boutet defends his super middleweight title against Fulgencio Zuniga. For the complete list of events, log on to sports.show.com. And that will do it for Showbox, the new generation from Newark, New Jersey. Executive producer, Gordon Hall. Showbox, produced by Richard Gaughan, directed by Rick Phillips. For Steve Farhood, this is Nick Charles, saying so long, everybody, from Newark.